Hey, I'm Antonio Romano, and this video is going to be on building muscle on a ketogenic diet, some extra tips. Okay, so I love this topic. This is one of the big things on my page, and that's why I'm making this little series on it. Okay, side note: KETONES shirts. I mean, they're probably up on my site. Maybe take a look. Click the link in the description. I mean, cotton, nice material, scooped neck. You know, nice vintage looking text. I don't know. I just like that. You know, kind of for the golden era type stuff I'm into. But, I mean, high quality shirts, they look sharp, and slightly different design of the tee than you might have already. So, you know, that's what I'm making, and there's going to be more of them coming out, other different designs and stuff. But check those out for the few of you, or the few people in general, who are actually bodybuilding on keto, because nobody does that. Who the hell does that? Okay? So let's get into this video, and I'll give you some unique tips on that. So, with keto bodybuilding, the main catalyst for actually building muscle is, I'm going to dispel some myths first, okay? First of all, people think that, you know, you need carbs to build muscle. I've addressed this in previous videos. You don't need carbs, but their insulin spike is beneficial, okay? The main muscle controlling pathway in your body, mTOR, is activated by two things that are totally available on a ketogenic diet and are not indicative of a carb diet at all: insulin and leucine. So you can get large amounts of insulin on a carb diet, and you can get good amounts of insulin on a keto bulk. And I really hope I post this video at the same time I'm launching my keto whey protein guide, because that is just such an amazing book, and I'm giving it out for free for a limited time. All you gotta do is join my email list. So I mean, even there I'm gonna be giving out more discounts and free content, so highly recommend that. But hopefully that's out. Click it if there's a link here, because that guide is free for a small amount of time. And when it comes to insulin, one of the ways I've described things in there is that insulin is the primary anabolic hormone in your body. It doesn't really know what it wants to build, but it just wants to build, okay? So if you're in an environment where your body is sensitive to insulin, that's good. You're going to build muscle. You're not going to be storing any body fat because you have an excess splurge of insulin. No, everything's going to be just right. It's going to go exactly where it needs to go. And if you're somebody who is insulin resistant, so if you're already overweight, you're going to have a harder time building muscle because you essentially are someone who is already requiring more insulin to do insulin's job. So realistically, on a bulk cut perspective, you should always generally, I mean, for a lot of people, I believe now, after 10 years of bodybuilding, 8 years of keto, that optimizing your insulin sensitivity first is the best way to go. So you can improve that by lifting weights in general, but cutting first helps a lot of people because it essentially allows you to shed down everything and then sensitize your body to building afterwards. So that's why for a lot of people, I go for the cut first, then bulk approach, or a keto bulk sort of thing, but more on that in other videos. So in that protein guide, right, when we're talking about insulin, when we're talking about leucine, two things that are the spikers and catalysts for growth in the body, carb diets can get you adequate amounts of those. Both. Of course they can, right? But the thing is, when we're talking about building muscle, protein is adequate to get you the appropriate insulin response, okay? And when we're talking about whey protein, it actually has, in my opinion, because it has a higher insulin response than most carbs, if you actually have a keto cut, and then you throw in strategic amounts of whey protein, you're basically, at the right time, you're basically going to be getting this anabolic response while your body is mostly in a, you know, preservation mode, right? Because that's kind of what the keto metabolism is. It just helps your body use everything better. And I actually have found that it keeps the body in a more sensitized and optimized ability to actually build muscle, because your body is in this insulin sensitive state all the time, and then you don't actually need to have copious amounts of carbs and bloat yourself and all that to actually build muscle. So when we're talking about the key here to build muscle on keto, it's actually not just the insulin, but the availability of leucine. That's actually one of the things that tends to be the highest indicator of the ability to grow, because leucine is one of the primary anabolic amino acids, okay? It's able to instigate muscle growth on its own and basically trigger mTOR on its own when you hit appropriate amounts. So even things like 5 grams a day. Now, When you're on a keto metabolism, your body increases its availability of circulating BCAAs simply because it's not using them as frequently. It doesn't need to work as hard to have them swirling around in your bloodstream. So for a lot of people, they'll say, oh, you don't need BCAAs on a keto diet. That is true from the anti-catabolic perspective, but from the growth perspective, I find it's very beneficial to actually supplement with leucine and the BCAAs and the essential amino acids in general. Okay, and I have links to those in the description, of course, my recommendations. But when we're talking about supplementing them, it is absolutely worth it to supplement with the BCAA on a keto bulk of some sort, especially because for a lot of people, the soreness benefits tend to, make it worthwhile in and of itself. But back to insulin, back to leucine. Leucine is an insulinogenic amino acid, by the way. So it will raise your insulin slightly. I don't believe it's really that problematic in a fat loss context over my years of experience with that. But as far as a muscle building context, it's imperative. Like, I find it's such a huge benefit, and that's why some of these other bulking approaches, like the 10 eggs a day approach that I talk about, the work from Vince Gironda, if you're having large amounts of eggs, you're going to be getting adequate amounts of the amino acids, and in fact, all of the amino acids that are essential. So that's another great reason why some of those keto bulk approaches are just simply perfect already on their own without any supplementation needed. Okay, it's basically just a natural bulking diet, and that's why all the golden era guys would do it. But when we're breaking down why they would get those results and why, people I'm working with get those results, why, I'll show you my keto bulk progress. Essentially, I'm staying lean while I'm still building muscle. It's crazy because I'm keeping that low insulin state in the day, and that's optimizing my sensitivity to building muscle. So, again, with the supplementation of leucine, that is the thing that actually indicates the highest amount of growth. So, people think, oh, it's just about your total amount of protein, right? Is it about my total amount of protein, or is it about the amount of insulin I can jack up? No, it's about aiming your sights and then hitting the pinpoint. It's about setting up your shot and hitting it, hitting the target. It's not about taking 1 billion shots, okay? So the metaphor here is, if we're talking about a sport, okay, let's call it hockey or soccer or something, right? Essentially, if you're eating a carb diet, you're just taking 1 billion shots because you're jacking your insulin up all the time, okay? Now, if you have a large amount of amino acids, you're giving your body a lot to work with. You're giving your body a lot of chances. And when you have a large insulin spike, you're basically taking a shot, okay? So for people who are having high carb diets and just jacking up the calories and just saying, oh, I'll get enough protein throughout the day by eating chicken breast and rice or something like that, you're basically just taking 1 billion shots, you're lowering your accuracy of those shots, and because you're lowering your insulin sensitivity by having carbs all day long, unless you're doing it clean way, whatever. But compared to a keto bulk, you basically, if you're getting adequate protein, if you're getting adequate amounts of leucine, which you will from foods like eggs, meat, etc., what's going to happen is you're eventually going to have a large amount of these circulating amino acids, and you're going to have an optimized background to synthesize them, to have a higher rate of muscle protein synthesis. It's not necessarily going to increase your muscle protein synthesis, but it will give your body more tools to work with and a more optimized background for it. Alrighty, so this was a video I started a while back, which is as probably visible to you by the, lack of facial hair and the clean shave that I was going for at that time. Let's continue this topic, okay? So, essentially, the point I'm getting at here is keto diet is not going to increase your rate of muscle protein synthesis. At least nothing I've seen has indicated that directly. The only thing that can do that is steroids, okay, or drugs of some sort. So that's not what I'm getting at here. It's simply that what a ketogenic diet will do, the way that it actually primes your body to uptake more protein, is via the glucose transporters in your muscle. So basically, in your cells, there are glucose transporters, which are basically like a door that allow glucose and amino acids to be transported into your cells by staying in a low insulin state. So fasted state or keto state, basically the same thing. What you're doing is you're priming your glucose transporters. There's a huge body of work on this. I've talked about it in my carb backloading video and a lot of other keto bulking videos. But the main thing you're doing here is with a keto bodybuilding diet, you are priming your body to take those amino acids up. And essentially, you're giving your body a higher sensitivity to insulin. Well, you are gaining insulin sensitivity, but glucose transporter translocation is not actually an increase in insulin sensitivity. It's simply that your body gains a better usage within the muscle cells to actually uptake amino acids. So you're improving your ability of your glucose transporters to take what's already swirling around in your body. Okay, so essentially you're gaining a better ability to use the tools that you have on hand on a cellular level. Okay, does that make sense? So as far as keto bodybuilding tips, okay, I've tried to throw a lot at you here. The keys: amino acid availability, getting high quality proteins, and the main point of that example was get quality. Focus on quality as your priority here. It's not necessarily about total number of protein grams per day, because not all grams of protein are created equal. There are different sources of protein. There are some that are more complete, there are some that are less complete. Of course, you'd be better off getting more complete proteins with the essential amino acids. Those are going to be key for muscle building. And from that point on, metabolically, right, in terms of your metabolism, which is like your body's engine, if you want to look at it that way, you're optimizing your engine by being in a keto state. So basically, you're allowing your body to be more insulin sensitive and to also experience the cellular benefits of glucose transporter translocation. Okay, so more on that topic in my carb backloading video, but like I said, the main key points here: train hard, get high quality amino acids in, and get a good amount of them, because amino acid availability is key. If you really want to hammer this home, you can use leucine or a BCA supplement, not because you're worried about catabolism, but because you want to add in the extra leucine, which can help muscle growth. Okay, so those are some of the big tips for keto bodybuilding based off of my almost 10 years of experience with keto bodybuilding, but 8 years so far at this point. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it has been educational for you and that it wasn't too all over the place. Okay, tried to summarize it a little bit at the end, but besides that, leave a like. Go check out the whey protein guide that I put out. It's not only for people on a ketogenic metabolism, however, it will give you a lot of insight if you are already on one or planning to be on one. There's a load of benefit that you can receive by undertaking keto strategies. Okay, doesn't mean you have to cut out carbs for the rest of your life, but there is a huge body of research that shows all the benefits you can get by periodically cutting out sugar from your diet. Okay, it's not a big deal, and it makes sense because sugar doesn't even grow half the year, and our bodies are perfectly capable of handling at least half of the year without sugar. So there's loads of benefits to this, and it's balancing and regulatory in a lot of ways. So check out my website if you want to work with me together, if you are interested in programs I'm writing and merchandise, particularly keto bodybuilding shirts. And besides that, thank you again. Antonio Romano. Leave me some questions. I'll do my best to get back to you. And also follow my Instagram. Peace.